She said stay for dinner, but the way her fingers lingered on mine, it wasn't an invitation to eat. It was a secret she'd been holding for years. I still remember the smell before anything else. Garlic butter, faint perfume, and the slow hum of rain against her kitchen window. It was supposed to be dinner. Nothing more. But something in the air felt wrong the second she said, "Stay for dinner, won't you?" It wasn't the words. It was how she said them, slow, uncertain, as if asking me to stay meant something else entirely. I hadn't seen her in almost 2 years. She was my mother's older sister, Claire, 46, maybe 47 now. Time hadn't softened her. It had refined her. The lines near her eyes weren't age. They were stories she'd stopped telling. She opened the door wearing a loose gray sweater, sleeves pushed to her elbows, hair tied, but slightly undone. The kind of undone that doesn't happen by accident. She smiled when she saw me, but the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Look at you," she said. "You've grown." "Yeah," I answered, shifting on the porch. "You look the same." It was a lie. She looked different, quieter somehow. We sat across from each other at the small wooden table, a candle flickering between us, though she didn't light candles for anyone else. I could hear the rain deepening outside, the sound filling the silences we didn't know how to break. She poured wine into 2 glasses, just a little too much for me. "Just one," she said, almost teasing, but her tone was off, like she needed to believe that. I laughed softly, trying to make it easier. "You always said I'd hate wine." "I was wrong about a few things," she murmured, not looking up. That's when it started, the quiet gravity between us. Every time I spoke, she listened too closely. Every time she spoke, her voice caught on something invisible. And when our hands brushed, reaching for the salt, she didn't pull away. Her kitchen was warm, but I could feel the cold from the rain seeping through the window pane. She got up to check the oven. I watched her. The way she moved, careful, as if afraid the floor might break under her. "Do you still live alone?" I asked just to say something. She nodded. "Some people are easier to cook for than to live with." Her words hung there. Too honest. I looked down at my plate. I didn't mean to intrude. She turned then, leaning against the counter, arms crossed, eyes fixed on me. "You didn't intrude." Silence. Then softer. "You never do." I don't remember standing up. Only that she was suddenly close enough for me to see the small freckle on her neck. I said something meaningless, maybe about the food, maybe about the rain, and she laughed, the kind of laugh that breaks tension instead of easing it. Then, when I reached for my glass, her hand found mine first. Not a grab, not a slip, just a hold. Firm enough to stop me, soft enough to confuse me. "Stay for dinner," she said again. Her thumb brushed the back of my hand, slow, deliberate. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, low and distant. Inside, the candle flame trembled. Neither of us moved. Her eyes flicked to my lips, just once, and that was enough to know what was happening wasn't about family or dinner or politeness. It was about the years she'd spent pretending she couldn't feel something like this, and the years I'd spent pretending I didn't want to. And just when she opened her mouth to speak, the doorbell rang. She froze, her hand still holding mine, heartbeat quick beneath her wrist. For a second, the air felt thin, like everything we tried not to say was suddenly in the room with us. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "Don't say anything yet," and walked toward the door. When the doorbell rang, it didn't just interrupt the moment, it shattered it. She slipped her hand away so fast, I almost wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing. A neighbor stood outside, an older woman with a grocery bag and a dripping umbrella. Claire smiled, that polite mask back in place, and took the bag. "You shouldn't walk in this weather," she said gently. I stayed seated, watching the rain slide down the window, pretending not to listen as they spoke about small things, tomatoes, electricity bills, the usual distractions people use when they don't want to be seen. But when the door closed again, the house felt too quiet. Her footsteps were slow coming back. She set the groceries down and didn't look at me right away. "Sorry," she murmured, brushing her hair from her face. That was Mrs. Patel. She worries when the lights are on too late. I smiled faintly. Guess she'd have a heart attack if she knew I was here. Her eyes flicked up, sharp, not angry but alert. She knows, she said. She just won't say anything. Something in her tone made me pause. You make that sound like a secret. It is, she said quietly. We sat again, though neither of us ate. The food had gone cold. I tried to break the tension. You still paint. She looked surprised. You remember that? I remember the smell, I said. Turpentine. You used to get it on your hands. She smiled, a real one this time. I haven't painted in years. Why not? Her fingers traced the edge of her wine glass. My husband hated the mess. The word hung there. Husband. You're still. I started. Divorced, she said before I could finish. 3 years. Then, softer, you like things clean. Predictable. I wasn't. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. Sometimes silence is safer than sympathy. She poured herself more wine. Her hand trembled slightly. You know, she said after a moment, your mother still thinks I'm the one who told him to leave. My chest tightened. Did you? Her eyes lifted to meet mine. No, but I didn't stop him either. That was the first time I saw the regret. Not in her words, but in the way she exhaled after saying them, as if she'd been holding her breath for years. The storm outside grew heavier, the kind that makes the world disappear behind rain. I reached for her glass to take it away before she spilled it, and again, our hands met. This time she didn't pull away. You shouldn't, she whispered. I know. We stayed like that. Her hand in mine, both of us pretending the storm outside was the only reason for the trembling in the air. Her voice dropped, barely a breath. I keep forgetting you're not that boy anymore. And I keep pretending you don't see that, I said. Her lips parted, but no words came. Only the sound of rain, steady and endless. And then she looked at me the way people look when they're already too far gone to turn back. The rain hadn't stopped by morning. It was the kind that blurred everything outside the window. Houses, streets, reason. I'd fallen asleep on the couch. Or maybe I just pretended to. I heard her footsteps before I opened my eyes, soft, unsteady, like she'd been pacing for hours. She stood in the doorway, holding 2 mugs of coffee. You stayed, she said. You told me to. I answered, my voice rough with sleep. Her gaze flicked over me, the blanket slipping off my shoulder, the open collar of my shirt. Then she looked away quickly. You should go before your mother calls. I sat up. You want me to leave? I didn't say that. There was something different in her voice, a tired edge, but not from lack of sleep. From fighting herself. I took the cup she offered. Our fingers brushed, again too long. Claire. She froze at the sound of her name. Not Aunt Claire, not family. Just Claire. That's not. She started, then stopped. Not what? Not something you should say like that. I almost smiled. Like what? She looked at me, for a heartbeat too long, then turned away. Like you mean it. The knock at the door hit like thunder. She jumped, nearly spilling her coffee. Her voice lowered instantly. Don't move. From where I sat, I could hear a man outside. Steady voice, casual tone. Claire? It's me. You left your keys in the mailbox again. Her ex-husband. I recognized the name when she whispered it. Mark? Her whole body stiffened as she opened the door only halfway. He stood there, taller than I expected, in a raincoat and with that easy confidence men have when they think they still belong somewhere. I was driving by. Thought I'd check on you. His eyes swept the room. The dishes on the table, the second cup, the folded blanket. Her voice wavered. It's just my nephew. He stopped by. I didn't look at him, but I felt his gaze linger too long before he nodded slowly. Family's good. You always needed someone around. She didn't answer. The silence between them was thick, full of things I wasn't supposed to hear. When he finally left, she closed the door and leaned against it, eyes shut. Why didn't you tell me he still comes around? I asked quietly. Because it's not your concern. It feels like it is. She looked at me then. That same look from last night, except this time it carried fear. Don't do that, she said. Don't make me remember what I'm trying to forget. I took a step closer before I could stop myself. Then tell me to go. She didn't. Instead, she whispered, "You don't understand how wrong this could be." "I do," I said, "and I'm still here." Her breath hitched, her eyes glistening like the glass between us and the storm. For a second, she almost leaned in, the air between us charged, silent, dangerous. Then she stepped back. "Go, please." But her hand lingered on my arm as she said it, trembling, reluctant, and that touch said everything her words couldn't. That night, the storm was gone, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than the rain ever did. I told myself I'd go. I even stood by the door with my jacket in hand. But she was there in the kitchen again, sleeves rolled up, hair loose now, like she'd stopped trying to look composed. She didn't turn when she said, "You didn't have to stay." "I didn't plan to." "Then why are you still here?" I didn't know how to answer. Maybe because the world outside felt colder than whatever this was between us. Maybe because her voice, tired and trembling, sounded like someone asking to be understood, not obeyed. She turned in, meeting my eyes. "I told you to leave for a reason." "Yeah, you did." "And yet," I set the jacket down. "And yet," the air between us tightened. Every word, every glance seemed to narrow the space until it was just breath and heartbeat. "You think this is easy for me?" she said suddenly, voice breaking. I never said it was. Her hand was shaking. She pressed them flat against the counter as if to steady herself. "He saw you, you know. Mark. He called me after you left." My chest tightened. "What did he say?" "That it looked inappropriate." The word stung. "Is it?" I asked. She looked at me then, eyes glassy but defiant. "You tell me." I took a step closer. Her breath hitched. "This," I gestured between us, "isn't just me." "Don't." "Why not?" "Because it's wrong. It doesn't feel wrong." She let out a laugh, soft, bitter, breaking apart halfway through. "You're a boy who doesn't understand consequences. And you're a woman pretending she doesn't feel anything." That stopped her. The candle on the table flickered again, throwing her face into light and shadow. Her eyes dropped to the floor. "You don't know what I've lost." "Then tell me." Silence. Then, barely audible, "I had a son once. He would have been your age." The words hit me like a tide. Everything made sense. The restraint, the fear, the way she looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. "Claire." She shook her head quickly, eyes shining. "Don't look at me like that." "How am I supposed to look at you?" "Like you're not trying to save me." "I'm not," I said. "I'm just trying to stop pretending I don't care." She stared at me for a long moment, torn between fight and surrender. Then she stepped forward, just one step, close enough that I could feel her breath. "Say something," I whispered. Her hand rose, hesitated, then touched my face, fingers trembling. "I shouldn't," she breathed. "But you want to." Her eyes closed, jaw tightening, every part of her fighting itself. When she finally spoke, it was barely a whisper. "If I do, everything changes." And just as her lips parted, the phone rang. She froze. We both did. The sound filled the room, loud, cruel, real. She stepped back, voice trembling, "Don't move," and went to answer. The phone rang for too long. By the time she hung up, she wasn't the same. Her face had drained of color, her voice small, rehearsed, almost. "That was your mother," she said. "She knows you're here." The words landed heavier than they should have. "She called you." She called the house line. Her eyes flicked to the phone again, like it might start ringing all over. "She said she tried your cell. You didn't answer." I searched her face, but something else was wrong. It wasn't just about the call. "She asked me," Claire said quietly, "if I was still the kind of woman who can't keep boundaries." My throat went dry. "What?" "She knows something." The silence that followed was brutal. I could hear the clock ticking, the hum of the refrigerator, every sound that wasn't her looking at me. Finally, I said, "You didn't tell her anything, right?" Her laugh came out short, hollow. "Do you think I'm that careless?" "No, but I think you're scared." She turned sharply. "I am scared. I'm scared of what this looks like. I'm scared of what it is." She stepped closer then, voice cracking. You don't understand. I've already been called the woman who ruins things. Her confession hit harder than I expected. What happened, Claire? Her eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. My marriage ended because of a rumor. Not even true. Someone said I was sleeping with one of Mark's friends. She paused, swallowing hard. He didn't ask if it was true. He just left. I took a step toward her, but she backed away. And now your mother, my own sister, thinks I'm doing it again. With you. The words cut the air in half. I didn't breathe for a moment. Then maybe we stop pretending we're not. She froze, eyes widening, breath sharp. Don't say that. Why not? You feel it. I feel it. And the world already thinks it's true. Her voice cracked. You don't get to decide what I destroy. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed again. A new message. She looked down, and whatever color she had left vanished completely. What? I asked. Her hand trembled as she turned the screen toward me. It was a photo, taken from outside her kitchen window. Me, sitting at her table. Her leaning close, smiling. Below it, one message. People talk, Claire. They always do. No name. Just a number. For a second, the whole house seemed to shrink. The walls, the ceiling, the air. She whispered, it's starting again. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away this time. You need to go, she said, voice breaking. Before this becomes something I can't fix. I didn't move. Claire, her eyes filled, but she didn't look at me. This isn't about what I want anymore. The phone buzzed again, once sharp. She flinched. And just like that, the distance between us wasn't physical anymore. It was fear and memory and the weight of a world that had already judged her once. It had been 3 days. 3 days since the message. Since I'd walked out her door, leaving the silence between us heavier than any goodbye could have been. I told myself I was done, that she'd made her choice. But every night, I'd catch myself replaying that moment, her eyes wide with fear, her hand shaking as she whispered, go. The kind of whisper that doesn't mean leave me, but save me from myself. By the 4th night, I was standing outside her house again, rain slicking the pavement, headlights cutting through the dark. Her lights were still on. When she opened the door, she didn't look surprised, just tired, like she'd known I'd come back. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. I know. We stood in the doorway, neither of us moving. The air was cold, but her breath was warm against mine. You got more messages? I asked. She nodded. 2 more. Same number. I blocked it. Does she know? My sister. She shook her head. Not yet. Then quieter, but she will. I stepped inside before she could stop me. Then let her. Let them all talk. Her jaw tightened. You think it's that easy? No, but hiding doesn't make it untrue either. Her eyes softened, but her voice didn't. You're young. You can start over. I don't get that luxury. Stop talking like you're already ruined, I said. You're not. She laughed under her breath, a sad, broken sound. You sound just like him. Your ex. She nodded. He used to say that, before he stopped believing it. I took a step closer. Then believe it now. With me. Her hand went up, half to stop me, half to touch me. I couldn't tell which. I don't know if I can, she whispered. Then don't decide yet. Just stop pretending this doesn't mean something. Her lips trembled, eyes searching mine for a way out that didn't exist. I'm scared, she said finally. Not of them, of what I'll become if I let you in. Then be scared, I said. Just don't keep running from it. The silence between us stretched, thick and trembling. Then she stepped forward, one slow, uncertain step. Her hand reached up, resting against my chest. I don't know if this is love, she said, voice breaking. We're just 2 lonely people trying to feel alive again. Maybe both, I said. Her breath caught. Our foreheads touched, not a kiss, just closeness. The kind that feels like truth. Outside, thunder rolled again, distant this time. She whispered, if we do this, there's no going back. I swallowed hard. Maybe that's the point. Her eyes closed. One tear slipped down, catching the light. And for a moment, before the world, The whispers, the guilt. It was just us. Two people standing in the wreckage of what they'd tried not to feel, finally too tired to lie. When I left later that night, neither of us said goodbye, but her hand lingered on the doorframe, just long enough to tell me everything that words couldn't. The morning after felt nothing like the night before. The storm was gone, replaced by sunlight that looked too clean for everything we'd done. Her house smelled of coffee again. Same kitchen, same table, same 2 cups. Only now, there was no pretending. She moved quietly, as if afraid sound itself might draw attention. The sleeve of her sweater brushed my hand as she set the mug down. "You didn't sleep," I said. She shook her head. "Neither did you." We both tried to smile. We both failed. There were no grand words, no vows or promises, just a quiet reality that something irreversible had happened. She sat across from me, elbows on the table, eyes on her coffee. "I thought it would feel worse," she said finally. "How does it feel?" "Like breathing after holding it too long." I watched her for a while, the faint exhaustion in her face, the rawness that looked a lot like peace. "I don't regret it," I said. She met my eyes then. "You should. Do you?" Her answer came after a long pause. "I don't know yet." Outside, the neighborhood was waking up, cars starting, birds calling, the faint hum of people with simpler mornings. She looked toward the window. "They'll find out." "I know. And your mother will hate me," I said. "Probably. But she already has a version of me she talks about. Might as well make it honest." That made her laugh softly, a fragile sound that somehow steadied both of us. "You shouldn't have to carry this," she said. "Neither should you," I answered. For a moment, we just sat there. No tension, no pretending. Just the quiet truth between two people who'd finally stopped running from themselves. I stood to leave first. She didn't stop me this time. When I reached the door, I turned. "You could come with me, you know." Her eyes softened. "And go where?" "Anywhere that isn't afraid of what this is." She smiled, small, wistful. "You'll find that place before I do." I hesitated, then said, "You're wrong." She stepped closer, close enough for me to feel her warmth one last time. Her hand came up to straighten my collar, but lingered longer than it needed to. "You made me remember what it's like to be wanted," she whispered. "Not for what I was, but for what I still am." My throat tightened, "And you made me understand what love costs." She nodded, eyes bright but steady. "Then maybe we didn't ruin anything. Maybe we just lived." I walked out into the sunlight. Behind me, her door stayed open for a moment, then slowly closed. No slammed endings. No perfect ones either. Just two people changed quietly, permanently. And somehow, that felt enough. Did you feel that too? If this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. What would you have done in his place? Tell me your ending. I read every comment. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story that'll stay with you long after it ends.